What if I told you there's a study method that will help you remember 50% more, but it'll make you feel less confident while you're doing it? It sounds crazy, right? But it's true. The students who simply reread their notes felt way more confident, but they remembered far less. It's because your brain, well, it's actively lying to you about what you actually know.
Yeah, let that sink in for a second. 50% more retention. We're not talking about studying longer, just studying smarter. But here's the paradox, the real kicker that explains everything. The group that learned way more, the ones who were self-testing, they were the ones who consistently said they felt less sure about what they knew. Bizarre, isn't it?
And this is the trap that pretty much all of us fall into. You know the feeling, right? You reread a chapter, you highlight some stuff, it feels smooth, productive, you feel confident. But trying to quiz yourself, that feels clunky, difficult, and slow. Well, as you can see here, that feeling of ease, it's a total illusion. The difficult path is actually the one that works. So that little voice in your head that says, oh yeah, I know this, as you skim your notes, that's the illusion. And honestly, it's probably been sabotaging your learning your entire life. But don't worry, we're about to unpack the study method that actually works. And this isn't just some opinion, it's backed by decades of solid research from people like Roediger, Karpicke, and Bjork. All right, section 1, the confidence trap. This gets to the heart of it. Why feeling good while you study is actually a warning sign. It's completely counterintuitive, I know, but we're going to get into why our brains are just hardwired to lie to us about what we've really learned. The secret weapon here is something called active recall. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the act of actively pulling information out of your memory instead of just passively shoving it in. Look, think about it like this. Watching 1,000 videos of someone doing push-ups won't build a single muscle on your body, right? You have to actually do the push-ups. Well, rereading is just watching the video. Active recall, that's you on the floor doing the work. I love this quote. The struggle is not a sign that learning has failed. The struggle is the learning. This is the key insight. That feeling of strain, that moment where you're desperately trying to remember a fact, that's not you failing. That's your brain literally building and strengthening the connections. That struggle is the learning process in action. So, why your brain lies? Let's dig into the science behind this illusion of competence. I mean, why does our brain get this so backward? Why does the easy, ineffective method feel so right? Well, it turns out there's a really good reason our intuition just completely fails us here. Okay, check out this chart. It shows something called the crossover effect, and it is fascinating. Right after studying, like 5 minutes later, the rereading group actually remembered a little more. And that's why cramming for a test feels like it works. But fast forward 1 week. Look what happens. The lines completely cross over. The self-testing group's memory is now way, way higher, that 50% we talked about. Rereading gives you this fragile, short-term knowledge, while self-testing builds something that actually lasts. So the scientist Robert Bjork came up with a great way to think about this. He talks about 2 different kinds of memory strength. First, there's retrieval strength. Think of this as how easy it is to find a piece of information right now. Rereading makes this feel super high. But then there's storage strength. This is how deeply that information is actually buried in your long-term memory. And guess what? That is only built through the struggle and effort of recall. And that brings us to the #1 mistake your brain makes. It confuses the ease of recognizing something with the ability to reproduce it. You know, seeing a term in your notes and thinking, yep, got it, is recognition. That's easy. But being able to explain that term from a blank slate, that's reproduction. That's hard. Rereading only trains recognition, and that's the illusion that makes us choose the worst possible way to study. All right, enough theory. Let's get practical. Let's talk about the self-testing toolkit. I'm going to give you 3 super practical ways you can apply all this stuff, like today. First up is the blank page method. It's so simple but so powerful. Here's what you do. You study a topic for a bit, then you close everything. Your book, your laptop, everything. Take a blank piece of paper and just write down everything you can remember about it. When you can't think of anything else, open your book back up and compare. The stuff you missed, those aren't just things you forgot. Those are the things you never really knew. And boom, that's your new personalized study guide. #2, flashcard self-testing. Now, almost everyone uses flashcards wrong. They look at the front, and if they don't know it immediately, they just flip it over. That's useless. That's just passive review. The #1 rule is this. You have to genuinely try to answer it before you flip it. Even if you feel stuck, force yourself to wait 5 seconds. If you flip it right away, you're not doing active recall.
You're just watching those push-up videos again. And third, my personal favorite for efficiency, the practice test first method. I know, this sounds completely backward. Take the test before you study? Yes, here's why. You're going to get a ton of stuff wrong, and that's the whole point. Every wrong answer is a bright, flashing sign showing you exactly what you need to study. It instantly creates your curriculum. You can completely ignore what you already know and focus all your energy only on what you don't. It's a massive time saver.
So if you're thinking, okay, how much time should I spend on this stuff? Here's a super simple guideline. The 50% rule. Whatever your total study time is, at least half of it should be spent testing yourself. So if you've got 2 hours blocked off, you spend 1 hour learning the material for the first time, and the other full hour with the book closed, pulling that information out of your brain.
Okay, so let's boil this all down. We've gone through a lot, but if there's just one rule to remember from all of this, one habit that will change everything, what is it? It's this. Simple as that. Don't reread. Self-test. Make that your new mantra. Every single time you get that impulse to just passively scan your notes one more time, I want you to stop yourself, close the book, and ask your brain, okay, what did I just learn? Force yourself to do the work. And just so you know, this is one half of the perfect learning equation. Active recall tells you how you should study, but it has a perfect partner called spaced repetition, which tells you when you should study. You put those two together, and that is how you get maximum retention. So I want to leave you with a question to actually put this into action. Think about something you're trying to learn right now. Could be for school, for work, a new language, whatever. What are you going to stop rereading and start self-testing on? Because that uncomfortable gap, the one between what you think you know and what you can actually recall on demand, that's where the real learning happens.